On page 51, the last thing we're going to talk about. Last class, we talked about how to find an empirical formula, which is the smallest whole number ratio of elements that make up a compound. So real quick, if we go back to empirical formulas for a second, when we're calculating each element by the smallest number, this is going to result in a small whole number. I want you to add a little note. So those small whole numbers that it gives you, this is called a mole ratio. So the small whole numbers it gives you after you divide all of them by the smallest number, this gives you a mole ratio. I forgot to mention that last class. So for example, in our empirical formula we did for this one, number 55, these are my mole ratio numbers for sulfur and oxygen. We use them as subscripts, and the reason we use them as subscripts is because they are the mole ratio. So for every 1 sulfur in this compound, I have to have 3 moles of oxygen. All right. So that is something I needed to cover. So these numbers, they're called mole ratio numbers. So on the subject of molecular formulas, a molecular formula must be determined experimentally. So you have to do a lab and then put your compound that you've created on a scale and find the mass of your sample, of 1 mole of your sample. So we're going to take that experimental mass that we can measure, and then we're going to compare it to the mass of the empirical formula. So we're going to compare the mass of our experimental sample to the mass of the empirical formula. Now, technically what we're doing is we're using the molar masses. So if we take this experimental value that we measured and divide it by the molar mass of the empirical formula and it equals 1, we have not created a new compound. It's just the same thing as the empirical formula. However, if it is anything else, so if we take the molar mass that we find in the lab and divide it by the molar mass of our empirical formula and it does not equal 1, that means we have created a new compound. So we're going to have a different ratio of whole numbers. So this is how we determine if new compounds have formed or not. So I want you at this time to turn to somebody near you and think, what industry or industries do we think having new chemical compounds could be helpful? So take 2 minutes to see if you can come up with at least one industry or one way that new chemical compounds could be helpful.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's because they have to serve it, it's like a lot. Oh, they do. It's not that we need I don't. Ask your buddy. Yeah, that was. I think really well.
Just a fancy word for create, synthesize.
Yeah, I'm just saying that. It's not. Oh, yeah.
All right, take about 30 more seconds and we're going to come back together. So list as many different industries on your little paper as you can. And then we'll come back together in 20 seconds to discuss.
Did you say we're supposed to list them on the paper?
Yeah, where it says turn and talk. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to put our hands up if we still have something on our list that hasn't been mentioned by another student yet. So everybody put your hands up because nobody's mentioned anything yet. So we're going to start with Jackson. Jackson, what is one of the industries that you had listed? Food industry. So if that is the only one you have, then you'd put your hands down. So Jeremiah, you've still got your hand up. What else do you have? Cleaning agents, product supplies. Okay, Sam. Health. Be more specific.
Like, maybe like,
Alyssa, you want to help him out?
Benadryl and stuff.
Benadryl and stuff. So medicines.
Yeah,
Medicines. Okay. Reagan.
We said like manufacturing and like sustainability.
Manufacturing, sustainability. So both of those things. All right. Owen, you've still got your hand up. War, military, absolutely. Michaela. Paint and dyes. Yes, absolutely. I'm smiling and excited about that one because that was my last job. All right. Madeline. Agriculture and science. I'm sorry, Kanan, I didn't see your hand because it's in front of your face. What did you have left, Kanan?
Makeup.
Makeup, cosmetics. Yes. All right, good. So it's not just one thing. Usually when we go to these, we're going to pop up, oh, well, obviously pharmacy and medications. We're coming up with new things all the time. But scientists in research and development are constantly coming up with new and different compounds. And you actually get trademarks and proprietary rights to those things, or your company does, when you create them. So chemistry doesn't just impact big businesses. It's every single thing that you touch. Okay, so that was the whole point of that exercise. So let's look at how we're going to use this information about molecular formulas. So example number 56 says, a compound consisting of only carbon and hydrogen is experimentally determined to have a molar mass of 78.12 grams per mole. What is the molecular formula for the experimental compound if the empirical formula is CH? So we know that the molar mass of our molecular formula is found to be 78.12 grams per mole. We want to know what is that formula. So the other thing that we know is the empirical formula. So you're going to see me refer to these as EF, and we need to be mature because the other one is MF. Okay. We know that our empirical formula of this is CH. So what do I need to compare this number to? What did we just say in our notes? We're going to compare the mass of our molecular formula to. What did we find on page 51? Owen, what did you find on page 51? The mass of the empirical formula. So I know that it's CH. Does it give me the molar mass in the problem? No. So what are we going to do? We're going to calculate it. So how many carbons do I have in my sample? 1. We know the molar mass of carbon, if we had a periodic table and we're looking at it, is 12.01. Then we're going to add to that our hydrogens. And there's no number there. So we also know that that's 1. multiply it by its molar mass. So now that's all we have to do. Let's use this calculator instead. I think more of you have this. So my calculator says 13.02. What do we think? All right. So what we just found is the molar mass of the empirical formula. Now what we do with that information is we're going to take our experimental mass divided by our empirical mass. And since we have a fraction, fractions are also used as ratios. So we just need to take the 78.12 divided by 13.02. And whenever you have that, please raise your hand. Whenever you take 78.12 divided by 13.02, Maddie, what did you get? 6. Do we agree with 6? Yes. So this is our ratio number. So that means that our molecular formula is 6 times bigger than our empirical formula. So what we are going to do with this 6 is now we're going to multiply all subscripts by the ratio number. Okay. So we're going to rewrite our elements because they don't change, but we are going to change the subscript. So what was my subscript before? 1. So if I take 1 times 6, I'm going to get 6. Same thing for hydrogen. My subscript was 1. So I take 1 times 6, and I'm going to get 6. So that means my molecular formula of this compound is C6H6. So whenever you are comparing empirical formulas to molecular formulas, the ratio has to be a whole number. At least in this class, it's going to be a whole number. So if I had something like, so if I had something like this, C2H4, and I asked which of these options could be a possible empirical formula for this compound, it's going to be the first one, the second one, or the third one. The second one, because if we look at these two, if I divided both of those numbers by 2, I would get this, and I have to divide it by a whole number. Questions over this? Okay, so if we're putting it all together, we're taking percent composition and empirical formula and molecular formulas. I want you to determine the empirical and molecular formulas of succinic acid. All you're given is that it is 40.68% carbon, 5.08% hydrogen, and 54.24% oxygen. So do it just like the empirical formulas we did in class on Monday. So it gives you the percent composition. It also tells you what its molar mass is. So step 1, determine the empirical formula. And then step 2, using the molar mass it gives you, compare it to the calculated molar mass of your empirical formula to figure out its molecular formula. Talking to my future 4th period students here, I'm going to cut off the video here, but I'm going to have the answer sheet on the board for you to check your work and do this answer together.